It's funny how some fans look at last year's 11-6 record and assume anything less this season is a failure. But when you actually sit with this roster, this schedule, and how this team's being built, things get a lot more complicated. If you're only focused on wins and losses, you might miss the fact that this year's Chargers could be a significantly better football team and still end up with fewer wins. That's the reality we're dealing with in 2025. The talent is better, the system is more stable, the floor is higher, but the challenges, they're higher too. And that starts, like always, with the offensive line. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. Look, I'll be the first to say the roster has improved. There's no debate there. The front office didn't sit back and call 2024 a success. They attacked this offseason with purpose. The run game got reinforcements with Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris. They upgraded the right guard position by bringing in Mekhi Becton, a massive tone setter in the trenches. On defense, most of the core returns and young depth is finally showing some signs of life. It's not a perfect team, but this is a much better constructed roster than what we saw last year. But there's a reason I'm still cautious. And it's not because I'm a pessimist. It's because I've watched this offensive line underperform at the worst possible times. And I'm still waiting to see proof that it won't happen again. One guy doesn't fix a whole unit. And while Becton absolutely raises the floor on the right side, questions still linger everywhere else on the interior. Zion Johnson has flashed upside, no doubt, but his inconsistency is starting to become a pattern. And Bradley Bozeman, for all his toughness, isn't the kind of center that puts fear into elite pass rushers. When you're facing guys like Dexter Lawrence, Darren Payne, or Jalen Carter, you can't just survive, you need to dictate. Right now, I don't see that level of confidence in the middle of the Chargers line. And here's where things get really tricky. The Chargers didn't just improve their own roster. Their 2025 opponents did too. Last year's schedule gave them plenty of chances to pad the win column. This year's slate is a different animal. You're not getting the Panthers, the Saints, or the Falcons. You're getting the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Commanders, and a much tougher version of the Raiders. You're still in the division with the Chiefs, and the Broncos are no longer a walkover. This is a second-place schedule, not a fourth-place one. And if your line isn't right, if your protection breaks down, if your guards and centers can't hold, all that roster improvement won't matter. We know how good Justin Herbert can be. He's a franchise quarterback in every sense, but he's not invincible. He needs structure, he needs rhythm, and most of all, he needs time. The second you start putting him behind a leaky interior line against pass rushes like Philadelphia's or Dallas's, you're asking for trouble. And that's where this team either proves it's grown or falls right back into the same trap. We saw it last year, in the worst way, against the Texans. That wasn't just a loss, that was a collapse. The trenches failed, the system failed, and the moment the Chargers couldn't rely on their protection, everything spiraled. The passing game stalled, the backs had nowhere to run, and it turned into one of the ugliest exits in recent memory. The concern this year isn't the big names. Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt will do their jobs on the outside, assuming health, but the interior, that's the battleground. And the reality is you're facing a gauntlet of defenses that will exploit every soft spot. And this is where coaching continuity becomes both a blessing and a burden. Yes, it's huge that Justin Herbert finally has the same system 2 years in a row. That alone is going to help him tremendously. Faster processing, clearer pre-snap reads, less hesitation. But with continuity comes accountability. Last year, you could say Roman didn't have the pieces. This year, he does. He's got a bruising run game with Hampton and Najee. He's got upgraded guard play. He's got the playbook fully installed. If the offense is still clunky, still inefficient, still failing in short yardage spots, that's on coaching. Now, I'm not here to call for firings or panic, but let's be honest. This is a prove-it year for Greg Roman. It's not year one anymore. The system needs to show growth. The run game needs to have identity. And most of all, the offense as a whole needs to control the game. Not just react, not just survive, but actually control the tempo. That's what Roman's best teams did. And with these backs, there's no reason this team can't do that. Again, if the line holds up. Let's take a second to talk about depth, because depth isn't sexy until you need it. And the good news is the Chargers finally have some. Pipkins, Salyer, and Andre James all bring starter-level experience. That's not something this team could say 2 years ago. But depth is a safety net, not a strategy. If you're relying on those guys every week because Zion or Bozeman can't hold up, your plan is already broken. What you need is for your top 5 to finally play like a cohesive, physical, dominant unit. And that has to start from week 1, not after a wake-up call. Let's not overlook the defense either. The pass rush lost Poona Ford and Morgan Fox, which means you're looking at more snaps for guys like Deshaun Hand, Otito Ogbonia, and Caldwell. That could work, or it could expose you. If the defensive interior can't generate pressure and absorb double teams, it puts more on Tuli Tuipulotu and Khalil Mack. And while Mack's still a force, how many snaps can he realistically carry this deep into his career? This is why the lines, on both sides of the ball, are everything this year. They are the story. The good news? The back 7 looks solid. Derwin James gives you flexibility, leadership, and elite slot coverage. The corners are young but talented. Cam Hart and Tarheeb still have shown promise. But it doesn't matter if you've got shutdown corners if the quarterback has 4 seconds to throw. That's what happens when you don't win the line. And that's what can derail a promising defense quickly. Now, let's circle back to the big picture. What does success actually look like this year? For me, it's not about hitting 13 wins. That would be nice. But I'm looking at how they win. Can this team control the clock? Can they finish drives in short yardage? Can they hold up against real competition and not just beat up on backup quarterbacks? Those are the things I care about. Those are the traits of real contenders. Let's be real. This isn't about style points anymore. It's about results. If the Chargers go 10-7 and look like a team that can bully people in the trenches, that's progress. If they go 9-8 but lose tight games to elite opponents while clearly looking more physical and composed, still progress. What's not progress is scraping by, blowing leads, and getting overrun at the line of scrimmage every time they play a top-tier front. That's how you waste another season of Justin Herbert's prime. So here's my outlook. I think this team finishes somewhere between 9th and 8th and 10th and 7th. But I also think they'll be a better football team than they were last year. Stronger, smarter, more competitive. The schedule is brutal, and the margin for error is thin. But if this team shows that it belongs on the field with the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Cowboys, if they look like they belong, then this season is a step forward. And that's what matters. Not the record, the progress, the identity, the ability to punch someone in the mouth and keep swinging. That's what this year has to be about, because if the Chargers can become that kind of team, the kind that doesn't fold in December, the kind that doesn't get pushed around in the playoffs, then it sets up everything else. 2025 isn't the final destination. It's the setup, and how they handle this tougher road will tell us everything we need to know about what's coming next. So yeah, maybe the record drops, maybe it doesn't. But don't get fooled by the number. Look at the football. Look at how they play. This is the year we find out what kind of identity this team really has, because the schedule won't let them fake it. You can't hide behind soft matchups or padded stats anymore. It's time to be real. And for the first time in years, this roster might just be ready for that challenge. Let me know what you think. Do you trust this offensive line to hold up over 17 games? Or are we staring down another wasted season for Herbert if the trenches fall apart again? I'll be watching every snap, and every snap up front is going to matter.